Hello and welcome to this week's Dream Deals, the show that has more cash per square foot than Bill Gates' petty cash box. Now on tonight's show we're looking at a car manufacturer that over the years has probably produced fewer cars than Sir Clive Sinclair ever did, but it's still regarded as one of the most respected and glamorous in the motor car industry. Now rather than me just telling you who we're talking about, let's play a little game of can you tell who it is yet? Throughout their lifetime, they've had numerous different owners, the latest of which is the second largest car manufacturer in the world. They are the manufacturers of some of the most famous, distinctive and bespoke sports cars in the world. Still not got it? A mark made famous by Bond, James Bond? It's Aston Martin. Aston were formed in 1914 by Lionel Martin and Robert Bamford, who were based in some small premises in West London. One car that epitomised Aston at this time is this 1933 Standard. Originally built as a four-door saloon, it's been significantly altered over the years. As you can see, it's now a two-door convertible. Designed as a 30s tourer with a 1500cc single overhead camshaft engine and no synchromesh on the gearbox. And it's got no poke. You have to be over 60 to drive it and wear a tweed jacket. It's not, I'm not, so I won't. Now, even though the company had been formed, they were still without a name, but this was about to be resolved. In 1914, using an Isotta Fraschini chassis and a 1400cc Coventry Simplex engine, Lionel Martin entered and won the Aston Clinton Hill Climb, and, putting the two together, Aston Martin was born. After the First World War, Bamford and Martin continued to race and put their triumphant simplex-engined race car into production. It was to become the first of many successful Aston Martins. In fact, so successful that shortly after that, Robert Bamford decided he could rest on his laurels, quite literally, retire, and then sole ownership fell to Lionel Martin. Now, the 20s, 30s and 40s, whilst successful in many respects, were turbulent too. And in 1947, the company was bought by the godfather of all modern Aston Martins, David Brown. Now, those of you that are listening and not just waiting for Joe Guest to come on may have realised the significance of David Brown. And that's because from that moment on, all modern Aston Martins were named after him, DB, the DBs. Launched in 1963, the DB5 was a development of the hugely successful DB4, available both as a sports saloon and a convertible. It was slightly heavier and slightly longer than its predecessor, but those problems were offset by an increase in engine power. Under the bonnet was a 4-litre engine generating 282 brake horsepower. There was an option of a high-performance Vantage model with 325 brake, which could hit 60 in 6.5 seconds. Not bad for a car that weighed nearly 1.5 tonnes. Early cars came with either a 4 or 5-speed gearbox, although there was the option of a 3-speed automatic. Other improvements over the DB4 included an improved exhaust system, an alternator rather than a dynamo, and electric windows as standard. Now, production of the DB5 ran for over 2 years, with well over 1,000 cars being made. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've not made one single reference to a certain James Bond. That's because the car's bigger than that. It's tired. It's a cliche. So moving on. If you've been shaken and stirred into wanting your very own Aston Martini, here's our very own odd job, Ian Casino Royal, with a buyer's guide.
The DB5 has quite obvious appeal, and if you're lucky enough to be able to afford one, this is how much you should expect to pay. We've seen a 1964 model sourced from America with 32,000 miles on the clock for a measly £140,000. And should you have any more cash burning a hole in your pocket, you could get a 1965 model with 11,000 miles for just under £80,000.
Not that I use it every day, but I suppose petrol costs a lot of money. It does 17 miles to the gallon, which isn't very good. It doesn't go wrong or anything like that, normally speaking, but when you do have to repair things, it's usually quite expensive.
Now, if you haven't already been put off by the buying costs, then obviously you won't be too concerned about parts. But if you do end up at the wrong end of a bollard, what's it going to cost you to get it fixed? Well, a new door skin will cost the good part of £130, while an inner wheel arch will set you back £75.